Still the same nobody, I see. Jessica sneered as she clung to the arm of her wealthy fiancé, Brad. Ryan only gave her a calm, quiet smile that unsettled her more than an argument ever could. By the very next day, when Jessica discovered that Brad had been fired from his job, she would finally realize who Ryan had become. Ryan Mitchell, 28, had grown up in the modest town of Millbrook, Ohio. Now he was a thriving businessman based in Chicago. Since graduating from Lincoln High School in 2014, he had never once returned home. He had his reasons. Back in those days, Jessica Harper had been his first love. They were together from 2012 to 2014, a classic high school couple, at least on the surface. Jessica was the picture of popularity, a cheerleader, prom queen, and the pampered daughter of a wealthy family. Ryan, on the other hand, came from a working-class background. His father clocked in shifts at the local factory, while his mother served coffee and pie at the diner downtown. Their relationship was never an easy fit. Jessica thrived in the spotlight of social status, while Ryan lived outside that world. He wasn't on the football team or the student council. His identity came from academics, sharp, focused, and gifted in math and science. He was set on earning a scholarship to college. At first, Jessica had found his intelligence refreshing. "You're not like other guys," she would say. "You actually think." But as graduation loomed, things started to shift. Her friends whispered doubts. "He's not going anywhere. You can do better. Think about your future." Ryan noticed her growing distance. Their dates dwindled, calls became rushed, excuses piled up. The real heartbreak came 1 week before prom. Jessica asked him to meet her at Millbrook Park. He went expecting romance. Instead, he found rejection. "Ryan, we need to talk," she began, her tone too polished to be spontaneous. "I've been thinking about us, about what's ahead." "What about our future?" he asked, though dread was already tightening in his chest. "You're going to community college, maybe transfer to state school if things work out. I'm headed to Northwestern. We're on different paths." "Jessica, I've been awarded a full scholarship to the University of Chicago's engineering program." She hesitated but pressed on. "That's great, Ryan." "Really? But let's be honest, you come from a different background. My parents, my friends, they all expect more for me." "Expectations," Ryan repeated, his stomach dropping. "I need someone who can provide, someone who fits into my world. You'll never be enough for me, Ryan. I can't settle." The sting of that night never left him. For the next decade, it fueled everything he did. Ryan graduated top of his class in engineering at the University of Chicago, then earned an MBA. His first role was as a junior analyst at a small Chicago tech startup. Within 3 years, the company sold for $50 million, and his equity made him a millionaire. At 25, he launched his own firm, Mitchell Strategy Group, specializing in digital transformation for Fortune 500 companies. By 2024, Ryan was worth $15 million. He lived in a penthouse, drove a Tesla Model S, and managed an investment portfolio most would envy. He had achieved every benchmark Jessica once claimed defined success. And yet he remained single. He had never married. When the invitation for Millbrook High's 10-year reunion arrived, Ryan's first instinct was to toss it aside. But then Jessica crossed his mind. Where was she now? Had she stayed on the pedestal she'd once placed herself? A quick search online gave him the answers. Jessica Harper was now Jessica Whitman, married to Brad Whitman, a regional sales manager for Davidson Industries, a mid-tier manufacturer. They lived in a comfortable suburban home, drove a BMW, and lived the picture-perfect upper-middle-class life. Ryan couldn't help but grin. He knew Davidson Industries all too well. For the past 2 years, the company had been a client of Mitchell Strategy Group. In fact, Ryan had personally reviewed Brad's performance evaluations more than once. What a small world. That thought alone convinced him to attend the reunion. October 12, 2024. Lincoln High School Gymnasium. The space was decorated with banners and colors from their graduating year. Songs from 2014 played over the speakers as clusters of former classmates laughed, hugged, and reminisced. Ryan walked in alone, dressed in a tailored black suit, elegant but understated. No need for flash. Quiet confidence suited him better. For the first hour, he mingled with teachers and caught up with old friends. People were curious about his life, impressed by his accomplishments. Ryan kept the attention at bay with humility. "I just happened to be in the right place at the right time," he would say. At 9:30, the atmosphere shifted. Jessica and Brad made their entrance. She was still striking, perfectly styled, confident, radiant. Brad looked the part of a successful man. Tall, fit, an expensive watch gleaming on his wrist, handshake firm and practiced. Together, they exuded the polished image of a power couple. But when Jessica's eyes found Ryan across the room, her smile flickered for just a moment. Recognition was immediate. She leaned toward Brad, whispering something, then crossed the floor toward her former boyfriend. "Well, if it isn't Ryan Mitchell," she said with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Back in Millbrook?" "No," Ryan replied evenly. "I live in Chicago now." "How lovely. Still working with, what was it? Computers?" "Something like that," Ryan said, his tone calm. Brad stepped forward, extending his hand. Brad Whitman, Jessica's fiancé, regional sales manager at Davidson Industries. Ryan shook his hand without hesitation. "Pleasure to meet you, Brad. And congratulations on your engagement." Jessica, unable to resist, leaned in slightly and murmured just loud enough for others nearby to hear. "Still the same loser, aren't you? Some people never change." Ryan gave no retort, just that steady, amused smile. "You're right, Jessica. Some people don't." Her discomfort showed, and Brad tried to steer the conversation elsewhere. "So Ryan, what line of work are you in these days?" "Consulting," Ryan answered simply. Jessica tilted her head. "Oh, like tech support?" she asked, dripping with dismissal. "Business strategy," Ryan clarified. "I work with companies to streamline operations and boost profitability." Brad nodded politely, though without much interest. "Sounds useful." The conversation lingered for a few more minutes. Jessica couldn't resist jabbing at Ryan, snide remarks about his modest upbringing, his family's struggles back in high school. Through it all, Ryan stayed unbothered, smiling quietly, never once taking the bait. Finally, Jessica ended the exchange. "Well, it's been nice catching up, Ryan. Come on, Brad. Let's go talk to people who matter." The two walked away arm in arm. Ryan just watched, still smiling. The following Monday, Chicago. Ryan sat in his sleek office, overlooking downtown from the 47th floor. The city stretched out beneath him. A knock on the door interrupted his thoughts. "Mr. Mitchell," his assistant said, "you've got an urgent call from a Brad Whitman at Davidson Industries." Ryan's lips curved into a knowing smile. "Put him through." A moment later, Brad's voice came over the line. "Ryan, this is Brad Whitman. We met at the reunion Saturday." "Of course, Brad," Ryan replied smoothly. "What can I do for you?" "Well, this is awkward. I was called into my boss's office this morning. There've been some restructuring decisions. About my role." "I see. That's unfortunate," Ryan said, his tone measured. "They mentioned it had to do with recommendations from our strategic consultant. And while you said you worked in consulting..." Ryan paused deliberately. "Tell me, Brad, do you know the name of your company's consulting firm?" The silence on the other end stretched. "Mitchell," Brad finally muttered. "Mitchell Strategy Group," Ryan confirmed. "And who exactly do you think Mitchell is?" Another pause, longer this time. "Oh my God. You're the consultant who's been reviewing our division." "I prefer the term strategic partner," Ryan said evenly. "But yes." Brad stumbled over his words. "Ryan, I had no idea. If this is about Saturday, about what Jessica said..." "Stop right there, Brad," Ryan interrupted. "This isn't personal. Your department's performance metrics have been declining for a year and a half. Sales are down 23%. Client retention has fallen to 67. Team productivity is below industry standards. The decision wasn't about Saturday, it was about numbers." "Please," Brad pleaded. "I've got a wedding to pay for, a mortgage." "I understand," Ryan said, his voice steady. "That's why your severance package is generous. 3 months' salary, health coverage through December, and a positive reference for your next opportunity. Is there any way to reconsider?" Brad asked, desperation edging into his tone.